Hi, everyone. Welcome to October in Soma Tribe. This month, we are going to be covering Live a Life That You Love, which I'm very excited about. My name is Tabitha McDonald, and I am one of the certified coaches that's going to lead you through this beautiful month. And Amber, I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. I'm Amber Corinne. I'm one of the 3 coaches here leading the Soma Tribe alongside Tabitha and Julie. And I will be taking the call coming up this Wednesday. It's good to see everybody.
Yeah, so what we're going to do tonight, since we have a lot of newbies in the group, is go over an intro recode. And I'm going to have Amber stay on so that she can also throw in her tidbits of knowledge and information, because sometimes we have different ways of explaining things, and it's nice to hear it from more than one person. So if you haven't watched an intro recode before, we will cover it in this process. And for those of you who have, it's also a good refresher on what the recode is and how it works. And so if you have any questions, type them into the chat if you're on the call live, or you can always contact us via Facebook or email. Just as a side note, my email is having a problem receiving emails this week. So if you're emailing tabitha@somatribe.org, just know that if I'm not replying to you, chances are I haven't seen it. And so I'm gonna, so I probably haven't seen it. Okay, so let's dig in. This month we are going to focus completely on living a life that you love. It's one of our core 4 orientational choices. And when I say that, what that means is in the magnetic mind method, we have 4 true choices that we like to introduce people to when we're starting the work with the superconscious. And a true choice is a choice that is something that's tied to an emotion. So I'll tell you, like, a choice of, I would really like it if my husband took out the trash more, is not a true choice, because you're tying it into another human being. And we cannot include a specific human being in a true choice. So when we think about that, what our true result would be in that situation is, I would really like a clean and organized house. And so that would be a better end result to step into, rather than expecting that somebody would fulfill the choice for you. Did you have something to add, Amber, on that one?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So what happens is we often think about what we don't want. So the choice of, like, having your husband take out the trash, you don't want him to be, lazy or not doing what you want. So when you're thinking about a true choice, you want to think about what you do want. If it's like, I don't want to be depressed all the time, that's not a true choice, because not depressed could mean many different things. It could mean that you want to be happy. It could mean that you want to be satisfied. It could mean that you want to be relaxed. It could mean many different things. So if you think about what you don't want, just think of the opposite of that, and that will help you get into the specifics of what you do want and start to shift your brain. So essentially, as we go through this whole month of October, living a life you love, looking at what you do want to create and what your life looks like when you are living a life you love is going to help you get on those specifics. So starting with the true choice, living a life you
Yeah,
love.
because a lot of
Does
people
it look
are really good at mentioning what they don't want. Like, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be tired. I don't want to feel like garbage. It's harder when you first start to think about what you really do want. So that is what we are focusing on this month, is really helping you identify and figure out what you would like to create in your life instead of what you don't want. And be patient with yourselves. This can be a really difficult transition in the way that your neural pathways are used to firing. A lot of us are used to living in a problem solving orientation, which is like, I don't want to be mistreated, which is just one example of how we live in that problem orientation of what we don't want. And it's just how our culture and society is. And so it just takes a little bit of practice and patience while you're switching your orientation over to creating what you do want. So be patient with yourselves, don't get frustrated, and just keep forging on. So I sent out an email with some exercises that you could do for the first week. It has 2 meditations in it. One is the wisdom meditation, which I absolutely love. And then also the innocence meditation. The innocence meditation helps you get into a place where you're not coming from your ego. It's more of a place of looking at things from your higher self, which is often the energy of curiosity and childlike wonder. So if you haven't done that yet, I highly recommend doing those meditations. And the innocence meditation has an anchor in it. And an anchor is something where you can, this one specifically, you grab your right wrist with your left hand and use that as a somatic anchor. And anchoring is something that we are going to be doing throughout the process. So this is a really good one to practice that with as well. Good. Did you have anything to add on that?
So, when I first started stepping into creative orientation and when I first started looking at living a life that I love, I had a lot of fear around creating something or picking something or seeing something that I was going to get stuck with. We often think that like whatever we decide or choose is the end all be all, and that's actually not the case. Life is a learning, growing, and evolving process. So as we continue to move further into exploring what it looks like to live a life we love, it's okay for that to change and grow and evolve with you. So you're not stuck with the way you experience it initially. So just give yourself a little bit of grace, I'm just giving you, we want to give you a heads up that whatever that looks like for you right now, it may change and evolve and grow, and most likely it will. So it's okay to allow yourself to be present to whatever comes up for you as you go through the exercises in Soma Tribe. And the same thing with the list of questions that we've sent out. Whatever you answer now is not going to be a definitive, you're stuck with it for, as long as you're focusing on this. It's going to be a continually evolving process. So if you can't get an exhaustive list or you're struggling with the questions now, each time you go back to them or each time, you take a look, you're going to feel more and more comfortable getting in touch with what really truly matters to you and what lights you up on a deeper soul level instead of just on the thinking brain level. And look forward to that. Look forward to your creations and your focus and your emotions of, the positive, uplifting emotions. Look forward to those expanding.
Definitely. And also I sent out a list of 18 questions to start asking yourself. And this is our project for the month. So don't think you have to get that done today. But what that is really learning how to write your manifesto for your perfect average day. And the reason we want to look at your perfect average day is because that's really the gauge of, are you living a life that you love? And so start looking at those questions and spending some time thinking about it and writing it. And then, as you go through the month, that might change for you. It might adjust, it might alter, and you might have different things that come up and you might go, oh, you know what? I don't want that in my day. I actually don't want to do the housework. I actually want to have a maid. Or like for mine, my perfect average day, I have somebody that does all the cooking and cleaning for me so that I'm not worried about that sort of thing. So this is like dream big, no limitations, have fun with it. And sometimes our imaginations get a little bit confined with our current reality. So as you go throughout the month, it'll be interesting to see how that evolves and changes for you as we go through the imagination process. And also as we remove the resistance to really feeling worthy of asking for and creating a life that you really love. So what we're going to do is talk about the recode. We're going to do a little bit of an intro recode on this video here so that you understand what the recode process is. I'm going to explain it one way and then Amber's going to explain it in a slightly different way because we have different ways of talking about it. Both ways are good for your unconscious mind to understand what the process is. So that is why we do a little bit of a background. So we have our unconscious, which is a part of our mind that was developed between in the womb and 2 years old. Then we have our self-conscious or our ego, and that part of our consciousness was developed between 2 and 8 years old. Then we have our superconscious, and that is the highest level of consciousness, our highest self that is just entangled in or in up in the world of infinite information. We're all consciousness is connected. So what we do with the recode is we step into the end result of what you want to create with the emotion of it. And then we take a look at your current reality and look at what your current reality is in comparison to what you would like to create. And then we have our superconscious come in and gently remove the resistance between where you are now and where you want to be. I like to use the analogy of the islands and having a river of desire in between. So you have one island that you're living on right now, and that's your current reality. And you have this other island across the river of desire, and that is your desired reality. And I look at resistance as these giant boulders that are in the river, preventing you from getting from one island to the other island. And what we do is we have our superconscious come in and gently put those rocks or just gently chip it away at those boulders of resistance so that you can sail smoothly into your desired reality. A lot of the time during the recode process, we're going to ask you for what your next aligned action is, because that is the command from your intuition, your higher self, or your superconscious, letting you know what the next step is to go on your journey to create what you would really love to have. I'm going to turn it over to Amber so she can explain it in the way that she likes to explain it. But she is not. She's
I am on mute.
okay, there we go.
I'm so sorry. I did say, Tabitha, that was a beautiful explanation. I absolutely love how you described the recode. So to give you a little bit more of like the technical process, I'm a little bit more technical when I like to describe it. Although everything that you said is the perfect way of like understanding it. Essentially, everybody has a field of information. So the recode actually is, giving you this educational piece of information right now, is educating your consciousness, all three levels of your consciousness, on how this process works. So as the coach, whoever whichever coach you're working with, they're going to be facilitating, they're going to be guiding and leading the recode process, but it's actually going to be your consciousness that is going to be doing the work. So this is educating your self-conscious, which is what we're communicating with right now. It's also educating your unconscious, because there are aspects of you that are not fully in your present awareness right now, but they're still taking in information. And then it's also educating your superconscious, which is a greater field of information. So your superconscious is a memory, essentially. You can think about yourself as one point on a piece of paper, just one dot. And then if you draw a circle around that dot, that represents your family's superconscious field. So you yourself have your own field of information. Your family has another field of information. And then there's an overarching, if you draw a bigger circle that encompasses all three, the dot, the circle, and then there's a bigger circle, that's the superconscious field that encompasses everybody. So I've got my own field, I've got my own family's energetic field, and then I'm also part of that larger superconscious field. So as the coaches, when we connect into, with your permission, the superconscious field, we're actually connecting to the bigger superconscious field, which you're a part of. And so when we ask for the superconscious to create some changes or to remove resistance more specifically, that's what's actually doing the work. We're not actually dropping into your field specifically. So you can think about the superconscious as a memory. It's a memory that was present before you were born, and it's been passed down through your family. And it contains all of the different memories. It contains all of the different instructions. And on a larger field, everybody is one, which is how we can actually facilitate this work. It's really amazing. So we do have the three memories that Tabitha talked about. She talked about the self-conscious. That actually doesn't come online until, a little bit before 4 years old. It's when, the terrible twos, the terrible threes happen. The child is starting to distinguish itself from its mother and father, and like it's creating the I, the ego in the world. Then we also have the unconscious, which she mentioned happens. It comes online, about the age of 2. It starts forming actually before you're born, because you have to have, your lungs are breathing, your heart is beating, your digestion is happening, and the unconscious is actually running all of those processes. It's kind of like the autopilot, if you will. And then you've got your superconscious memory, which is present from before you were born. It actually guides your cells and kind of tells them how to form into the little fetus. And then, as you grow and develop, it kind of guides all of that information. So we'll be working with those three memories. Now, in terms of your actual consciousness in your self-conscious awareness, you've got two different types of memories. You've got what's active and what's not active. So right now in your active awareness, you're noticing that you're on this call, we're talking to you, you're having thoughts and feelings about it. But in your unconscious, outside of your active awareness, you've got memories that are just kind of stored back there. And sometimes you can pull them up if something triggers them, but they're not readily accessible all the time. If they were, that would just be too much information for everybody to be taking in and processing. So I'm going to ask you a question, and this question is going to trigger an unconscious memory into your active experience. This is going to give you an example of what an unconscious memory is. So I'm going to ask you, when was the last time that you rode a bicycle? So now you can kind of think about it. And you might be someone who's ridden one pretty recently. And so that memory is just going to pop back into your active awareness right now. But if you haven't rode one for a while, or maybe you've never ridden a bicycle, then it might take a little bit longer to find that memory. And before I asked you that question, that memory was not front and center. You were focusing on this call, you were focusing on what's in front of you, and that was in your active experience. But now that we're having a conversation about it, now that memory of riding a bicycle is in your active experience. So that's an example of how dormant memories get triggered from our unconscious into our active experience. So what we're going to do during the recode process is we're actually going to be asking you some questions for you to think about to trigger as many of these unconscious memories into your active experience as possible, so that your superconscious can actually treat them. And we treat them with a metaphor. So the metaphor was actually developed by Dr. Gary Flint, and it basically tells your superconscious how to treat all of these memories in a very, very quick, short, simple metaphor. But before I share that metaphor with you, I want you to think about Tabitha's example of the river of desire, or was that what you referred to it as?
Yes.
So if you are at upstream in the river of desire and it's flowing downstream to your desired reality, if there's a beaver dam and some boulders and a mudslide in the way of that river of desire flowing to its destination, flowing to the ocean where you want to go, it's going to be a lot harder for that water to get there. And so what we do during this recode process is we ask your own consciousness to remove the resistance, so that where you are at the beginning of the river, you can easily move and take the action to flow and to get to the ocean, the land of plenty, the desired reality, the goal that you want to experience. So in this case, it's going to be living a life that you love. So whenever we have memories, whenever we have experiences in life, they are stored in our consciousness. And as we were mentioning earlier, your unconscious stores all memories. Sometimes we have memories and experiences as a child that are traumatic or that we don't quite understand. And these shape the way that we experience life and what we interpret and take in life. So if you can think about this river that we're talking about, from where you are to where you want to be, all of the different experiences you've had in your life, whether they've been traumatic or not, they may be contributing to some resistance, blocking the flow of water, blocking the flow of energy, blocking the flow of action for you to take the steps to actually have what you want to experience in your life. And in this case, to live a life that you love. So when your superconscious is treating all of this resistance in the way, you can think of it just like as gently smoothing over anything that is causing any type of disturbance in your field. You could think, if there's a beaver dam, it's just going to be gently smoothing away the beaver dam. If there's, some boulders in the river that are causing the water to flow funky, then it's just going to be gently moving those boulders to allow the water to flow freely. And we're not actually removing memories. Your superconscious is not removing any memories at all. It's actually just taking any of the emotional charge from those memories and it's turning it into learning. It's turning it into wisdom. It's absolutely the thing that we all desire. We all desire to learn from our life. We all desire to learn from any type of charged emotional experience, any type of uncomfortable or traumatic experience, it would be really nice just to kind of no longer feel upset about it, to no longer feel those bad feelings, to no longer relive the painful memories. Like it would be nice to kind of erase some memories sometimes, I suppose, but if you could just look at that memory as if it's in black and white and be displaced from it and not have an attachment and any type of reaction to it, that's basically just the same as erasing it. So you
Yeah.
still are going to have access to all of you're going to be erasing the pain.
Yeah, that's the best. And that, I think that sometimes some of those memories have a hard time releasing that pain because that pain is really what drives a lot of our behavior and actions. And so just to add to that, how I look at it is like whenever you have a traumatic event that happens, you get like a part-time personality that handles that event. So let's say somebody stole your lunch money when you were 5 in kindergarten. There was a part-time personality that developed during that traumatic event in order to handle the complexity of emotion caused by that. So maybe you didn't feel safe and your reaction was to fight back or run and play small. And so anytime you have an experience in life that triggers that same intense emotion, that part-time personality takes over and either tells you to like fight back or play small, depending on what your unconscious and self-conscious decided was the best course of action to keep you safe. And so what we do with the recode is we rewire those old neural pathways that tell you to do that behavior if it's not in service of what you want to create. So if you really want to be a public speaker or a magician, I don't know, whatever you might want to do with your wildest imagination, what you want to do. There is a part-time personality in your mind that tells you it's not possible because of some event that happened when you were little. And so we really want start talking to that part-time personality and saying, hey, you're kind of getting in the way of creating this beautiful thing that the main personality would like to create. So while we're doing the recode, it sounds a little bit like multiple personality disorder, but it's not. We all have all of these different personalities inside of us. It's like when I go shopping and buy a ton of healthy food, and then my part-time personality who really likes ice cream walks up to the fridge and is like, who did this? And it's that like part of me that like uses ice cream when I'm stressed out or I need to unwind. So there's all these different aspects. And what we do with the recode is also integrate all of these different personality types into the main personality so that they can all work together to achieve one goal. But that's what you'll hear during the recode. And what it is sometimes they don't like releasing the pain of those events because they have really good intentions when they're formed, and it's usually around keeping us safe. And so depending on what your part-times are looking for, like to keeping you safe, that resistance can be really big or it can be small. But the intention with the process is to remove, like Amber said, the pain from those experiences so that they don't block you from creating what you want to create. Good. Does anybody have any questions so far? If so, you can just raise your hand using the little handy uppy thingy in the reactions button, or you can type it into the chat. Okay, good. Did you have anything else about the recode, Amber, that you wanted to add?
Yeah. So some advantages to the recode. So you get more satisfaction and less pain. You stop those reactive parts of your personality from taking over. It's a really, really big one. Like sometimes, something comes out of your mouth and like, oh my God, I did not mean to say that. That's just an aspect of your personality that's just, trying to protect you on some level. And sometimes it says a not great thing at the inopportune time. You stop spacing out, sometimes you're just not present. You look down, you're like, oh my God, I ate the whole bag of chips. You stop spacing out. It helps with that. All aspects of your consciousness get to run the body at the same time, which is a really big benefit. And it stops you from hiding aspects of yourself from each other. Everyone wants to be more authentic. It's kind of a general statement, but at the end of the day, like we want to be in integrity and alignment with our true selves. And we don't want to, be hiding aspects of ourselves from ourselves specifically. And also just having like a mono personality, it just works best. So we refer to getting all of the aspects on the same wavelength, on the same path. by referring to them as joining the treatment team. So you may hear that as well. So the metaphor that we're going to use is not hypnosis. It's not a trance. There's no indirect means that are necessary. Essentially, you're going to be aware and alert the whole time. You're going to be hearing everything that we're saying. And the 20-second metaphor that we use is essentially that river of desire. We're just asking your own unconscious to clear that river so that the water can flow freely from the beginning of the river into your desired experience, and smoothing over any of the resistance with just lightly with a feather, so that we're treating all of the painful memories. And that's basically how we treat and a painful memory. Yep.
Good. Awesome. So what we're going to do, how the recode is going to work, is we're going to step first into your desired reality. Some people like to just listen along and let their imagination play. Some people really enjoy writing during this process. It's entirely up to you. You're always in control of the session. And yeah, so let's get going. So I'm going to have you go ahead and just sit back and relax. And the one thing that you will need to do is give me permission to access your superconscious field. And you'll just need to say that in your mind. I give Tabitha permission to access my superconscious field. And after you've done that, good, thank you. What we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and give you some commands and you just follow along. So I want you to close your eyes and relax. And I want you to think about what it would look like if you really loved your life. I want you to think about what types of people are in your life, how much money you have, what your purpose is, how you spend your time, and things like, do you want to travel? Do you want to feel free? And as you're coming up with these things that you're thinking about that would be involved in a life that you love, I want you to think about what emotions those things would create for you. So if you're thinking about financial abundance, what does that give you? Does it give you freedom? Does it give you opportunity to have new experiences? If it's relationships, is it because you want to have love and belonging and connection? Think about all of the things that would be included in a life that you love. And think about all of the things. So just really let your imagination play and step into it now. And just feel the emotion of stepping into a life that you love. Step into waking up in the morning. How do you feel when you wake up? How does your body feel? Does it feel free and energized? Does it move with ease and grace? Just really step into it and just feel the emotions. Are you fueled by compassion? Do you love to be ambitious and achieve goals? Do you really just love having connection with others, people that inspire you? Really step into a life that you love. Do you love to be of service? Maybe you like to be of service to others, and that's a big part of your life that you want to create. Do you want to have more beauty in art? Just really think about it. Let your imagination play and roll into this future. Maybe there's some things about your life right now that you absolutely love. Pull those up into your experience. What are the things that you love now about your life? Do you love where you live? Do you love your career? Pets, people? And just really pull in the emotion of the end result and just feel the love that you have for your life, knowing that it's exactly the way that you want it. Nice. And so now when we think about that feeling, I want you to think about your current reality. What does that feel like now? Maybe you have some people in your life that don't feel good. Maybe you want a relationship and you haven't met someone yet. Maybe your finances aren't where you would want them. Just think about what your current reality is. Do you suffer with anxiety? Do you have a low self image? You're having some health challenges. What is it that you're experiencing now? What's your current reality like in comparison to what you would like to create? Good. And now, if you were to look and give it a number, what is the resistance between your current reality and your desired reality? Sometimes, how I see this is I see boulders pop up. Maybe there's like 5 boulders representing the resistance, or 10. 10 would be the most. So we're going to go with 10. And if you, as soon as you have the number, the level of resistance number, go ahead and type that into the chat so I know we're starting. And if you're at home, you could just write this down on a piece of paper. And that way you have this for yourself. This number is very subjective. Okay, good. We got a couple numbers coming in. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our superconscious remove this resistance, help chip away at these boulders. Thank you. Good. Everyone's got a number. And so I'm going to have you go ahead and sit back and relax. And now we're just going to start the recode now that a lot of this resistance is pulled up into your active experience. And I want you to give me permission, Tabitha, to connect with your superconscious if you haven't already done so. Good. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and have our superconscious tag and treat all top 10 priorities and create the perfect treatment plan in the perfect way. Removing resistance, allowing you to have the desire and the wants of a life that you truly love. We're going to go ahead and tag and treat all top 10 priorities and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. I just want you to take a nice deep breath in and just connect with your heart. And just allow the resistance to living a life you love come up into your field. I'm going to go ahead and tag and treat family entanglements and the beliefs that were passed down from our families and our ancestors that we can't truly have what we want. We're going to tag and treat those ancestral beliefs and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. I'm going to tag and treat the fear of being seen as selfish for wanting what we want. The fear of being seen as greedy. And the fear that we're not capable of actually allowing ourselves to have what we want. I'm going to tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. Just choose to take a nice deep breath. And just relax and choose to get the most out of this process. We're going to go ahead and tag and treat the feeling of sadness and stuck grief, resentment, and anger. We're going to go ahead and tag and treat those stuck, painful emotions that are trapped in our body. Tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. I'm going to tag and treat the fear of being seen, of being heard, of being noticed. I'm going to tag and treat all the memories, past, present, and future, where being seen or noticed caused us pain. I'm going to tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. We're going to tag and treat all part-time personalities that are resisting allowing you to step into a life that you love. The wounded child, the perfectionist, All those part-time personalities, have them come up to the surface, and we're just going to invite them to integrate in with the main personality so that you can have the most out of life. You can step into a life that you love. I'm going to tag and treat all those part-time personalities and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. We're going to tag and treat the belief that you can't really go after what you want, that that's for other people and not you. We're going to tag and treat that belief and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. We're going to tag and treat the belief that the world is not safe and that people are not safe. We're going to tag and treat the belief that if we go after what we want, people will judge us, try to stop us, or cause us harm. I'm going to tag and treat those beliefs and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. We're going to tag and treat the fear of being stuck in our current reality forever, never being able to really step into a life that we love. Tag and treat the victim inside of us that feels like other people are always attacking us. Other people are always creating our reality. Tagging and treating our desire to hand our power over to others. Tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything else needed. Thank you. Just take a nice deep breath. We're just going to ask our resistance to come up. Any resistance that's sitting in the wings here. Good. I want you to step back into living a life that you love, that first image. Pull up the emotions you want to experience. Pull up the feeling of love and feel that feeling of love grow through your heart and make it bigger and more expansive. And focus on the person, place, or thing that you just love loving for no other reason than it just feels good to love them. Let that feeling grow inside of your heart. We're going to go ahead and tag and treat all the memories where we were betrayed by someone who loved us, when we betrayed ourselves in the pursuit of love. We're going to tag and treat all painful memories that keep us from really fully experiencing the emotion of love in a safe way. Tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything else needed. Thank you. Just choose to allow the feeling of love to become comfortable, welcome, and received. Nice, good. We're going to have our superconscious go ahead and tag and treat all of our energy centers, the meridian lines, tag and treat all organs, neural pathways, all of our cells and tissue, all of our organs, on all of our cells and DNA. We're going to tag and treat all of the body systems that are keeping us somatically anchored into a life that we do not love. We're going to tag and treat, give them a massive upgrade, and have our superconscious go ahead and do a massive change history and everything else needed. Thank you. Just take a nice deep breath in and just allow that to integrate. We're just looking for any other limiting beliefs. We're going to go ahead and tag and treat the belief that it's not safe to rely on yourself. It's not safe to rely on others. Tag and treat the belief that you are unreliable. Tag and treat the fear of uncertainty. Tag and treat our fear of listening to our internal guidance and our intuition and taking aligned action. Tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. Just take a nice deep breath. As we're doing this recode, I just want you to imagine that there's this beam of white light coming into the top of your head from up into the universe. This beautiful white light of just pure love and compassion. Pouring down into your crown chakra, tagging and treating anything stuck, any stuck energy, any stuck coding, tagging and treating, pulling that down to your third eye. A beautiful white light. As we do that, we're going to have our superconscious tag and treat anything that's stuck, preventing us from seeing the truth. Pulling that down into our throat chakra, tagging and treating our fear of being heard anytime our voices got stuck in our throat. Tagging and treating any resistance to being heard. Imagine that light coming down into your heart, tagging and treating the fear that prevents you from fully embodying love. Tagging and treating as we pull down into the solar plexus. Tagging and treating any stuck energy, any stuck emotions that have never been able to fully express themselves. Tagging and treating our fear of emotions. Pulling that down into our sacrum. Tagging and treating, trusting our intuition and our knowing. Tagging and treating that chakra, pulling it down into the root chakra. Tagging and treating our fear of being grounded into our own authority. And see that white light, just tagging and treating all the resistance in our energy fields as it's flowing up from above down into the center of the earth, connecting us to ourselves and to our higher knowing. Tagging and treating and doing a massive change history on anything that's stuck or creating resistance. And we're going to tag and treat the belief that spending time in creativity is a waste of time. Tagging and treating the part of us that becomes obsessed with work and forgets to play. Tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything as needed. Thank you. And just choose to step back into your end result. Let your imagination show you what would a life that you love look like. Who's around you? What are you doing? How do you feel inside of your body when you wake up? How do you feel as you go through your day? What are the feelings that you want to feel in this new life? Really step into them and let them grow bigger and brighter. Tagging and treating any resistance to this new way of being that's left. Go ahead and tag and treat and do a massive change history and everything else needed. Thank you. Whenever our superconscious, go ahead and return memories 1, 2, and 3 to the matrix of the universe. All tandem memories, quantum memories, cross. And we're going to go ahead and ground all those memories back into the matrix of the universe. And ask your superconscious in this space of openness, what's the next aligned action that you need to take to fully create this beautiful life that you love? What's the next step? Take a deep breath, maybe write it down. Good. And when you're ready, what I'm going to have you do is just gently tap your shoulders on either side, and it's just going to bring you back into your current experience, your life now. You can rub down your arms, and this just automatically reattaches you to your body and grounds you back into now. What I'm going to have you do is go ahead and type into the chat when you think about that new reality, that desired state. How much resistance do you feel like you have now compared to when you started? Go ahead and type that into the chat. Nice, good. 10 to 2, 8 to 4. Good, good, good. That was your, maybe for some of you, your first recode. I say typically it takes about 72 hours for it to fully integrate. And I would just be very curious over the next few days, looking for synchronicities that might guide you to where you want to be going. And also maybe pay attention to your thoughts in your mind and see if you're starting to think about things and look at things different, like, oh, when you see a house, go, oh, that one, actually, I would like to have a house like that if I didn't fear being restricted by money or circumstance. Just start paying attention to any of those shifts, or mostly synchronicities. A lot of the time when we do a recode, I find that there's a lot of synchronicities that follow, which are amazing. So be open and aware of those, and pay attention to your intuition and where it's guiding you. This really helps unlock your intuition and your inner knowing. And if you haven't done so, set up some time in the morning to do one of the at home, like, I don't like calling them assignments because that sounds a lot like homework, which makes my rebellious side not want to do it. One of those at-home daily practices, I would start with either the innocence meditation, the wisdom meditation, start journaling a little bit, and just give yourself a little bit of time to play and create in the field of what you would like to create. So this is going to be a really fun month. And it's going to be a time of creativity and growth, and just really allows everyone to really play like a child. And I would love for you all to just go at this month with childlike wonder and remember back to when you were young and you thought everything was possible, because that's really the part of you that we're going to unlock this month. So thank you for attending your first call. And Amber's going to be doing the call on Wednesday at 5. There's a Zoom link in the email I sent out today, and all of these calls will be reposted. So if you weren't able to make a live call, we're going to go ahead and send the links out once they get posted up to YouTube. We're currently in the transition of changing our software platform, so we're using a private YouTube account in order to get these out to you. So thank you for coming. If you have any questions, go ahead and stay on after the recording, and we will go ahead and answer any of those for you.